welcome to something just a little bit different. This trial version of Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin came out a couple days ago, and it's they came out broken, infamously, but they fixed it within 2 days and had it up and running. And after spending a fair amount of time with it and actually having ran through it multiple times, especially after my initial difficulty, I want to go ahead and do a video to talk about it and really explore the combat a little and talk about what's going on and the potential it really has. So, I didn't delete my save file because this demo here essentially allows you to new game plus it continuously and keep your character as it is, along with all their items and all their upgrades. And rather than start completely fresh, I'm gonna just go into this with how I've been playing it. And it allows you to select the difficulty mode, which is unlike Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Nioh. So, easy mode, an easy mode for players who want to breeze through the story, a standard mode for normal, a standard mode for players looking to enjoy battles and strategy, hard mode for players looking to take on tough enemies. You can also obtain stronger equipment with some limitations. I'm gonna stick with normal, and not gonna skip the tutorial, just so we can really dive into all the little nitty-gritty bits. So Team Ninja has also done other collaborations with Square in the past, notably Final Fantasy Dissidia NT, which also starred Garland in it, much like this. And of course, most also very noteworthy is they are the developers of Nioh, and that is apparent immediately. I mean, look at this tutorial zone. It looks like it was ripped out or made completely out of assets from Nioh. That right there, Nioh animation.
This is the one.
Oh. R1 to attack, and R2 for your action ability. Tutorial 2, Soul Burst. Break enemies by depleting the yellow gauge above their heads. Approach broken enemies and press circle to finish them off with a Soul Burst. Now, I think this tutorial area is kind of terrible because it's kind of hard to see the enemies they're throwing at you. Something to put in the survey. Or that I put in the survey at the end. They really could have tried for something a little visually easier to see. And I felt it kind of does a disservice right away. With Nioh, colors are a bit bright, have a brighter color palette given the feudal Japan and yokai influences, while this is going for more of a Type 0 gritty Final Fantasy thing, which works great in the rest of the demo, but here it does not translate very well, unfortunately. Slaying enemies with a Soul Burst will help you recover your MP and raise your max MP. Effective use of Soul Burst will ensure your action abilities are ready when you need them. So the pink bar is the MP that's underneath our health. Press R2 to expend MP and use an action ability to deal heavy HP and break damage to your foe. There are two types of action abilities. R2 activates your job's unique action, and pressing R2 during normal attacks, R1 triggers a combo ability. So, much like Nioh, these enemies have sort of a stamina system. The character does as well. However, unlike Neo, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, standard attacks, dodges, and things like that do not waste any sort of comparable stamina meter. While this is clearly functioning on similar ideas, it's still separating itself from the pack pretty prominently. Again, underneath our health bar is the MP, and normally you default at having only 2 of those pink bars, which is about 100 points each. And but as you perform soul bursts, you will and parries, which is a tutorial we're going into next, you can start raising your maximum. Soul Shield. This is the this game's form of a parry attack. Or defense, rather. Hold circle to deplete your break gauge and adopt the Soul Shield stance. This stance can be extended by keeping circle held down. Blocking an attack in this stance triggers Soul Shield. Will trigger Soul Shield. Ugh. Staggering surrounding enemies and dealing break damage. It will also restore MP and increase your max MP. Press R1 after a successful block to take a big step forward and unleash a normal attack. So this is where our break gauge stamina comes into play. It will deplete when we're using the Soul Shield or when we're getting hit. If Soul Shield is triggered by an enemy with a purple name, that ability will become usable as an instant ability. Activate instant abilities by pressing square. Instant abilities do not consume MP, but their number of uses is limited. So this is a really cool thing that I love how this game is going for. It's kind of got sort of a Final Fantasy Blue Mage thing in it, in which you're kind of learning your opponent's attacks and using them against them. But it's also in line with Neo 2, how they have like enemy summon souls that you can use. And on to the next bit. When you have 1 or more full MP gauges, L2 plus circle to consume 1 MP gauge and activate Lightbringer. While Lightbringer is active, you deal increased break damage to enemies and their max break gauge, and their max break gauge is reduced when you hit them. When they are reduced to 0 HP, you'll be granted effects equal to a soul burst, so they will be instantly crystallized and give you an increased MP. Though this is something you have to spend depending on if you're going to make it back or not, because you don't want to lose a whole bunch of a whole bar of MP and then not make it back with this, if possible, unless you're really desperate. Activating Lightbringer changes the break gauge into a special gauge that depletes over time or when hit. Lightbringer ends when this gauge is fully depleted. Jack cannot be broken while Lightbringer is active, making it particularly useful when the break gauge is nearly empty. So that's a good thing to switch to if you're starting to get low yourself. Because if you break, you will take a kneeling stance, and you'll have to wait for that to recharge. You'll be vulnerable, and you'll also lose some of your MP and any of your instant actions, which like that stone throw. Again, visually, this really needs work. is hard to see in this tutorial area. So now we're going to dive into the demo proper. I'll be going over some of the details in the articles that have been posted about this game since the release of this demo. About what's going to change and potentially, for the most part, I feel like the combat and everything's pretty solid, and you're not dealing with anything like degrading weapons, which I don't hate degrading weapons. They just the mechanic just has to be applied well, and I think it's done really well in the Soul series, especially the latter games.
Looks like chaos has been waiting for us.
You gonna make us go in there and find you?
Guess we'll just show ourselves in.
Okay, first things first. Let's detail a couple things. When you first start this this demo, you have only one equipped job, and that is swordsman, which can only use great swords. I've unlocked the advanced one, which is warrior, which is essentially the same thing, except it has some different abilities and allows you to use multiple weapon types. I'll be trying to mostly keep pace with what the demo should be, but let's see. Right here, as you you level up and gain job points for using that job, either passively or actively. I'll get into that a little better later, but you can customize your combos. Now, when I first started this, I thought the combat felt really shallow because I wasn't fully taking in the fact that the little combo variants are they want you to be using your MP, and for the standard R1 attacks, you can hold up or down with the analog stick to change some combo actions with your basic attacks. If you're trying to do your combos without MP, it feels a lot thinner and not quite as satisfying. But what I was trying to get at here is that you can, much like Neo, you can customize your combos to an extent. Like here, my attack that I have, the standard R1, and then hitting R2, the first one for that I've changed to Raging Slash, while R1, R2 becomes Piercing Thrust, and then the rest I kind of just have Raging Slash as it is, because it's just easier for me. Yeah, and with the Warrior class I have Warcry, which is just mapped to R2 plainly, in which is a fierce roar that damages nearby enemies and gradually restores your HP for a period. Raging Slash here, which I'll show off in a minute, deliver a single wide sweeping slash attack that sends enemies flying. And there are certain attacks that can only be set to certain minimum number of combo slots, like they require R1 up, so they can't be R1, R2, things like that. These are your bonfire equivalents, these neat little save points. And And the advanced classes have some abilities that are not, have abilities that the basic ones do not. In fact, I'm gonna change over to the basic swordsman for a little bit, because I have them mostly the same right now anyway. So we're gonna... But the R2 for this one is Spinning Slash.
Let's go.
I don't stand a chance.
Oh. I could have crystallized him. But let's switch over to the warrior, and I'll show that off. And you gradually recover your health. 31 every couple seconds. Let's switch back over. I'm gonna stick with warrior, actually. So you're going to want to be spending your magic in order to help regain and increase your own magic. Now, the Great Sword, within the combo, if you hold up in R1, you get this sort of, kind of... Come on.
It's almost too easy.
Still a ways to go. Come on.
So, much like Neo, there is a lot of loot to be found from defeated enemies or from chests. I'll show that off a little bit here. Right now, I'm wearing a piece set that's pretty much just a whole, pretty much everything I have on me at the moment. If I get some better ones, I'll show them off better, but you have 5 slots here. Do I really not have a... Oh wait, I can't equip a helmet. But you have 5 slots here that you can normally fill with different different equipment. Head, chest, arms, pants, greaves, and just like Neo, they each have their different respective stat boosts, as you can see, and statuses equipped to them. Like, see, this has adds 1 to attack, 6 defense, does nothing for your I think that's magic, and then the last one's intellect. And then they have their little bonuses. Like, this one is MP recovery rate with normal attacks, which is my R1s, is plus 1.5%. And you'll see tons of different minor variations like that that improve your skills and other elements of battle. Now, these another really cool additional modifier to loot in this game is job affinity, which you'll see on the right. And you'll see with this one, it has a 9% job affinity with mage. So, when I am a mage and wearing these caster gloves, I get an extra 0.6% strength, 0.8% agility, 0.6% vitality, and then intellect and all those different stats. Let's see. I was hoping... I'm not sure how to look at those finer details. I don't see it in here. But actually it's the legends on the right. But see the magic attack is the wand, while magic defense is the hat, and physical attack defense is 128. Things like that. I'm not gonna get into all the nitty gritty of that. That's
There's
a
one down
little
there.
more that I need to explain.
Let's take it down.
Damn, where does all that darkness come from?
Monster just popped out of that one.
Darkness wasn't bad enough.
See, that's what happens when your break gauge is empty. Come on. There we go. And see, he dropped a great sword, a level 4. I've got like a level 11 or 12 one on me right now. Now those are like demon walls.
Nice one, Jack. Now let's see what secrets this place is hiding.
They're pretty much constantly sending enemies to, and
Looky here.
or they spawn a certain number. I'm not entirely sure. It's the demo. Some things aren't quite final. Let me pull up that tutorial. Battle. No. There it is, dark vents. Fiends emerge from dark vents scattered about the shrine. Slaying enemies that have emerged from the vents will lower their break gauge, and destroying the vents will stop the flood of enemies. Now, once I figured this particular thing out, along with a lot of stuff involved with it,
Let's see how much fire that thing can eat.
now, they don't tell you how to do that. And I wish they did, because, well, I do and don't, because once I figured it out on my own, I was like, oh my god, that's awesome. But, what you saw there was a Final Fantasy bomb enemy. Excuse me. But, I love how they're translating the Final Fantasy, sort of turn-based ideas into action RPG, with their attacks labeled over their heads as they're using them, at least for their specials, and not their basic like little claw attacks or something like that. But when he used fire and I blocked it and I was able to throw it back at him, if you hit the fire bombs with the fire elemental, they get a stat buff called growth, in which they start growing bigger and bigger, and their attack raises along with it. However, if you manage to hit them with enough fire elemental attacks, it either needs to be one really strong one or enough small weak ones, they grow large and they self-destruct and die automatically, which can be used to light up other enemies and
There you are. Knock 'em down.
or kill others as I'll grab that just so I can show off some more loot. In fact, I should be grabbing more of this.
Stay out of the flames, unless you want to get cooked.
Let's find another way around.
So, watch this. He self-destructs, and the other gets a growth. Meaning I only have to spend 2 of those in order to grow him. And force him to self-destruct. And now there's a ton of bombs right there. If you try to rush in and fight them normally, you will just get murdered. Which is what happened to me. A few times.
He's back. It's gonna blow. Wonder what's in there.
So, much like Neo, there's, you are given a certain number of, healing consumables. Oop. And, at least so far for demo purposes, it could be less, it could be the same on the final release, we don't know. But, in Neo, they start you out with, 3 consumable heals, and as you go along, you eventually get more and more, but, enemies can also randomly drop potions, so that you can hold more than your intended maximum. So right now I can hold 6.
What the hell was that?
Another one of those things? I guess.
Now, if you have any enemies still active and you kill the vent, they'll die too. Let's now that I have some loot, let's try just changing myself up just for the sake of it. What looks cool? See how you can customize your look based on what you're picking up. I'm sure, probably like Neo, they're going to have some sort of a transmog system, so you can look any way you want while having the stats you actually want. Now I'm gonna switch back over to the Shadow Cloak level 12 because it has job affinity. Let's see. That's where it should be. Yeah, that's probably right where it should be too. Ding. Yeah. So this Shadow Cloak here, since it has the actual cloak on it, you cannot wear a helmet with it. And it also looks really cool. I appreciate that. Oop. Piercing thrust after double R2. So you don't always have to be using the Crystal Soul Burst there to regain your MP. it's just one of the most effective ways to gain it back real quick. But you also get it back by hitting your enemies and of course the parries. So I appreciate that it's balanced that way. It's a lot like Kingdom Hearts, where your standard strikes are restoring your MP. Now that was a nice alternate route, because I didn't realize that was there when I was first struggling with this damn hallway. Because you have all these bombs, and I had no idea about throwing their fire back at them, because I didn't think about doing that, because I'm just thinking in generic action RPG terms like, oh, that's not gonna do anything. But then I start thinking in Final Fantasy terms, which is something that the Final Fantasy VII Remake does real well, and how it's marrying the two concepts to each other. And it makes a whole lot of sense once you start thinking about it that way, more than just, oh, mash button, kill monster. Okay, this was, that's a halberd. I'll pull up the tutorial for this. Let's see. No. I'm not sure under which one this would be. You have unlocked new job. Find a job you want. Okay, nope. So, this is where you're if you're going through this fresh, this is where you'll get your first mace. And maces are strike weapons that specialize in dealing break damage. Attacks with maces are quicker than attacks with great swords and shields, and can be equipped while using them, making maces versatile weapons for both attack and defense. Attacks can be charged by holding down R1 during a combo. Press R1, up and R1 to trigger an upward attack, or R1 and down to perform a counterattack. Mages can cast Black Magic 1 by holding down R2. Up to 2 MP gauges will gradually recover while casting spells. Switch spells with L. Selected spells can be cast by releasing R2 or holding down R2 and pressing R1. Holding down R2 while casting will increase the tier of the spell, from Fire, Defira, Defiraga, as an example, without expending any extra MP. Each attack has individual attributes. Physical attacks have Slash, Pierce, or Strike attributes, while magic attacks have the Fire, Ice, Lightning, Earth, Water, or Wind attributes. Some enemies are weak to certain attributes and take greatly increased HP and break damage from attacks sharing that attribute. Let's see. Okay, so
Time for a change.
this isn't a mage, this is what was this again? The Black Mage. And what they tell you to do here, I could not find it under tutorial settings, but they want you to cast Watera, or Waterica, because there's some nice environmental interaction. I can turn on the fire right here. Sometimes I don't know what causes it to trigger. Maybe it's just a rare spawn in this demo, but sometimes there's a cactar over there, and it spawns with some decent loot. I've only seen it a few times in my runs through this, so I'm not sure what that is. Seems anyhow, you can set that grass on fire, which enemies will take damage in, and that will come in handy within relatively soon. It won't do anything to the bombs, but other enemies or you that get caught in that burning grass will take damage, as long as they're weak to fire in some capacity.
All right.
Okay. So with these guys, it's actually better to cast fire, because they'll grow and self-destruct. So give them a minute, let those flames die down and let the grass burn away.
Time for a change.
And, oh. Obviously, the thing I should be really noting on here is that oh, I'm trying to break his gauge, but he broke mine. There we go.
Treasure, huh?
I know people are dumping on this because they think, oh, it looks like a PS3 game, but kind of, but the image quality is way too high. I'm also even in performance mode, so it's favoring the frame rate. I don't think it's running at 60, at least not yet. It seems like it's only on 30, but I really don't care one way or the other, 30, 60, as long as the game's stable and looks nice either way. I don't care. But and there's some hitches I've noticed in the demo, but of course this is a game set for next year, and optimization's always the last part of development, pretty much, and it not something to complain about. But I think this game looks fine. It looks closer to Neo visually because it's clearly using the same engine and sharing a few animations.
This is the one.
But, let's see. Let's cast fire here. See, he's taking some continuous damage in that flame.
Alright.
Also, I'll meet people halfway when it comes to, this game being a little edgy. It kinda is. I can't lie.
Let's see what's inside.
But I appreciate the edge. You wonder why you have to break that down? Because there's no traditional jump button, and this path is blocked off. So, oh, I don't want to go down there yet. But another one of the attacks that's unique to a greatsword is holding back on the L stick and holding R1. You get a nice charge attack, like Monster Hunter or something. And if you set that up, it does a lot of really good damage. Okay, you knock that bomb off, and it falls down there and explodes. What's important about that, and why you should do it? Because it sets all that grass on fire to deal with, to help weaken this huge pack of wolves you're about to walk into.
Time for a change.
Like a match.
And these wolves are weak to fire, as they traditionally are. It does a lot of break damage, more so than health. Oh, I don't have enough magic right now to do Lightbringer, which is a good spot for this if I can get surrounded. Oh, good. Ooh, recovered just in time. Ugh. See, you can't just spam that parry, or else it's going to hurt. See? I'm losing break gauge like crazy. I was hoping to do a finisher on him. The thing about the edginess factor is that this kind of just stops right there at the edge before it becomes overly bloody or anything like that. I'm sure this is going to be a rated M either way. Maybe. I'll be shocked if it gets a T, but it could end up there. Because it's not going super bloody. I mean, Final Fantasy Type 0, which I've referenced previously about this, is that they go full on blood and corpses and everything everywhere. So, you know, maybe in comparison this is actually less dark and brooding as that. Plus there's plenty of mainline Final Fantasy games that go full on with that. So in hindsight, this is actually in some ways a little more tame. But some nice level design here. Looping back to a good shortcut. Clicking L3 to go up and down the ladder faster.
So we've come full circle, huh?
Ladder, over there.
And when you come to areas of interest, you can hit L3 and it'll show you the area in a cinematic camera.
All right.
Enemy spotted.
Come on.
Come on, follow me.
Now, something critical, well, semi-critical that I forgot to talk about when we passed it, but after we fought that Alpha Wolf and its pack, that treasure chest up the stairs, it actually gave us a different weapon. And that weapon is the halberd. Let me fix that. Which does piercing damage. And it functions a lot differently than either the club or the greatsword. Got these standard piercing attacks. Holding up on the analog will do a long piercing attack during the combo, but if you hit sideways and you get those sweeping attacks. The special ability for the Dragoon, which is the advanced version of the Lancer, is their traditional jump attack.
Lights out!
As if we'd lose.
Good job. Now on to the next.
Something to point out, based on the recent interviews with Nomura, is that we will be able to equip our loot to our party here. The party will never exceed 3 people, but there will be other party members who will be able to change in and out with these two, Jed and Ash. Over here, there's a nice little hidden chest.
See what's inside, Jack.
Most of the loot I'm wearing right now is from a final boss type thing.
Time for a change.
I'm gonna switch back to the black mage for my other job,
All right.
because I like having that magic on
This
tap.
is the one.
But Chaos saves the biggest tower for himself.
Still got a ways to go.
Yeah. Stay alert. Stay focused.
Got it! Kill the things when these growths get weaker.
I hate the bats. So I should get rid of this thing to get rid of them. Okay, seems the maximum potions is 9. I've never held this many before. I like the music. It's no Yoko Shimomura or anything. Who else can be? But Square's got a lot of good composers under their belt. And it feels very Final Fantasy.
Giving up already? Come on, we gotta cut him off at the source.
Oh.
Finally a break. This will take us straight to the tower.
I don't need that, but I might as well take them, because why the hell not? See, there's some hitches here and there.
Treasure ahead!
Let's see, is there anything I have worth upgrading? Might as well spend it. But here's the job tree. Various little benefits from using the job and just going on ahead with it. And going ahead and upgrading it. And new attacks. Such as strength +2 here, stamina +2, which is their word for health and vitality. And black mage here increases magic damage dealt by 5%. All these little passive things, and I'm sure the trees are going to be a lot larger and more fully featured in the full game.
This is the one.
Now, any good fantasy game worth its salt, blunt weapons are your best bet against skeletons. Ah, great. Oh. Oh. See, that right there is a Neo animation through and through. the basic zombie type enemies use that exact animation. Since I switched this to the Dragoon for a little bit, it unequipped the shield I had, because this is a weapon that you can pair a shield with. Actually gonna switch over to, actually, switch this for, halberd, since it does, piercing, because I'm going to be coming up against some enemies that use that. Put the shield back on this. And there we go. Because, as a warrior, you have access to clubs, great swords, and halberds. Sorry about that.
All right.
And equipping the right weapon is gonna give you, of course, a nice advantage. Oh. So with these advanced jobs, you can pretty much mix and match abilities too. Oop. Another hitch.
See what's inside, Jack.
Key to Fate's doors. Which opens this up. We're gonna go in here first, then we'll hit that other door right there.
Darkness is so thick I can taste it. This is it, no doubt.
Right. Chest is on the other side. Now, unlike Dark Souls or Neo, there is no the penalties for death are significantly smaller. When you, if you die, during combat, your max MP pool that you've been earning will start decreasing until it hits back to its,
This is the one.
original maximum, which, at least for the demo, seems to be only 2. And I assume that's going to be the minimum when the game launches as well. I want this to be the Dragoon. And I want the Dragoon to have its, God, I keep screwing up some of these controls, but... A really cool, kinda gnarly looking griffin enemy.
Time for a change.
Another element of the combat I have not gone enough into at all is that while you have the two different jobs you've equipped simultaneously, they each have their separate break gauges, which is fantastic for keeping yourself from breaking.
Time for a change.
Oh. I don't even know why I'm bothering to take the Shadow Cloak. It's going to be literally the exact same as what I'm holding right now. All that's really in there is some decent loot until you've beaten this actual boss coming up, the only one in this demo. So I'm gonna switch this back to Black Mage, put that shield back on.
Alright. This is the one. Time for a
Okay,
change.
everything seems set up the way I want it. And, let's go in, shall we?
Chaos.
No. I am to become. And who are you?
We're here to kill Chaos.
The prophecy's very own Warriors of Light.
Really?
He always wore such splendid armor, with a helmet that was terrifying to behold.
It's Garland!
No. I am to become chaos.
I had so much trouble with this guy.
Alright.
Just stand there.
See? Being able to switch and maintaining your separate break gauges is very helpful. Ugh.
This is the one. Alright. This is the one. Alright. Time for a change.
Being careful not to get broken yourself is extremely helpful.
Alright. Time for a change.
In Dissidia NT, his weapon is a greatsword that like transforms into a hammer. I kind of hope they bring that into this.
Wait.
So this is what darkness does to humans.
Ooh.
Keep it alive. We need answers.
I've seen that before.
Yeah.
We know better.
This is putting a damper on fun, Jack. You can help us out?
Now, his ice phase is a lot more aggressive than his fire phase, but nail him with enough fire attacks, and you get a second to where he staggers out.
Give up on me, ass! Be still! Your time's up! I shall become
Just gotta find the opportunity. See? And we broke him.
You fools! Now we're talking!
He'll automatically pick all that up. I really appreciate how he's sitting on the throne of chaos from the Yoshitaka Amano Final Fantasy 1 art. Key art. It's so cool. So yeah, that about does it. There's a hell of a lot of really cool potential, and a lot of it is realized in this demo. And even though the enemy types, at least in this, is fairly limited, I'm sure that the full game will do a lot better. At least hopefully, especially with all Square Enix money and all of Team Ninja's talent. I mean, that was one of the legitimate complaints about the first Neo, is that it was really good. Combat system was really well in depth and thought out. It's just that the enemy types kind of got a little samey as you went through the game. And I hope that this doesn't end up running into that, especially since it's Final Fantasy, and there's a whole lot to draw from. I could see, like, even though they aren't Final Fantasy 1, you could still be bringing in monsters from that really storied history of that franchise. And there's a whole lot you can do. There's going to be 8 jobs and 8 weapon types. We only touched on like 4 of them, and I barely even went into the halberd or anything. There's going to be katanas, there's going to be fist weapons, and a few others. I can't remember them all offhand, but I'm looking forward to seeing those implemented and their jobs. So that means Samurai's likely to be a job, and Monk, which Ash was clearly using because he had fist weapons there. And it's slated for next year on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series XS and PC. And I hope they take all the time they need to polish this up and fill it with plenty of content, because, man, after getting my ass kicked for a while, I'm definitely a believer in this. Yeah, sure, of course, some people think the tone is a little over the top or a little memey. I think the trailer kind of did a disservice in presenting it that way. So far in the demo, it's significantly toned down from what that was showing and trying to portray the character Jack as. And so, yeah, really looking forward to this. And I hope I explained the combat semi-competently, and that if you really always want to try some Souls-likes and were kind of put off by difficulty, this one has its options, and I think it's pretty accessible, especially once you maybe maybe it's not quite if you want to get. It's accessible, but it has a significant amount of depth, which I think Neo also delivered on. And I hope that if you're interested, that this video helps convince you to definitely be hyped for it, because I sure am. Okay, I'm starting to talk in circles, so thank you for playing, and thank you all for watching. Catch you later. Bye.